Hi everyone, let's continue with HTML fundamentals. This is Pam with Jumpstart Code, and we are on lesson 5. We are continuing to learn about links. So let's just kind of recap where we are right now. I have a folder that has inside of it, so my project folder is called Links and Images. Inside of that is a folder called Images that has these images that came from our Interneting is Hard site. We'll get to that we'll use those when we get to the section on images. We created a links.html file, an images.html file, and inside of this folder, an extras.html file in order to demonstrate different types of links. And what we have working right now, here's my links.html file. If I click here, so this file, if we want to take a look at what is in it right now, has a link to our images.html file. So if I click here, it takes me to the images file. There's not much content in that right now. Then there's also a UL here with two list items. One is showing a link to an external URL, so we've got a full path name here. And the second one is showing a link to the extras file, which is inside of another folder. So in order to specify that, the href has to specify the folder name /extras. So I can go to this external page, or I can go to this page, which is in another folder. All right. Now, so you've got to make sure you're clear about the file structure of what you have in order to know how to reference things. So, but suppose you needed to link to a page that was above where you are. So we're now going to go into the extras.html file, and I'm going to add this content. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going into extras.html, which remember is inside of a folder. And so I'm trying to put a link to links.html and a link to images.html. Let's see if it's going to work. So I'm going to save this. Let's go into, here's my extras page, right? We just added the content that has this, but when I click here to try to go back to links, do you see what we say? It says it cannot get, and look at what it's looking for. It's trying to look for a file called links.html in the current folder that we're in, right? When you are in extras, if you don't tell it differently, then it's looking inside of this folder, and there's nothing in this folder called called links, right? So in order to do that, so remember, we're here in extras. It's trying to look for files there. They're not there. We have to go up a level in order to find these files. So in order to do that, to go up a level, you need this ... syntax. So notice here's what the reference has to look like, ... That says go up a folder and look for the file in that folder. So again, there are often little details, lots of details in syntax that you have to pay close attention to. So I'm changing this to ... right? And same thing here, ... Again, this is also why you have to be very mindful and decisive about your file structure from the very beginning and know where your files are. So let me go back. Let's see. Might not be able to go back. Here we go. Back to my links page. If I click on my extras page, Then it takes me to here. And now if I click on links, now it properly takes me to that page because we went up. If I go back to extras, if I click on images, it properly takes me to that page, right? So that is because we added the proper syntax in order to go up a level in order to find that. All right. And you can do different levels of dot dot if you need to navigate up multiple levels in your directory structure. All right. Now, these are relative URLs, right? And that's a very common thing to do. Root relative links are very similar, but they're relative to the root of the entire website. So wherever your website is hosted, it will be relative to that. So we can't really show this when we're doing local HTML files. That's what we're doing right now when we are viewing our pages here. If we were doing that, we would have a link to, for our home page, to just the slash for the home page, and that would get us to that page. But we're not going to be able to demonstrate that right now. We're just going to put a pause on that for right now. Okay. Now, there's a couple of other things we want to talk about. When you click on a link, you'll notice that what happens when I click on a link over here is basically the page that I'm on gets replaced by the other page, right? But sometimes you would like to open this page up in a different window. And so we can add another attribute in order to do this. So the attribute that we use to specify that is called target. And if we say target equals underscore blank, I know some of the syntax is kind of strange, but that is the syntax. That's what we have to do. So let's go add that into my absolute links. So I'm going to my links page, and we're going to add that here into the link to the Mozilla page. So this is one attribute, right? The attribute is href. The equal sign is assigning it to a value. And by the way, it's fine if you put spaces before and after this equal sign. That's totally up to you. I'm going to add a second attribute here, target equals, and it's underscore blank, right? Underscore blank. All right, so let's save this and let's look at what changes when we do that. So my page is being refreshed because I saved. Let me just reopen it here with Live Server. There we go. And now when I click here, look at what happens. It opened up a new tab for me. So you still have your original page over here, but this opened up in a separate tab. So that is the benefit of adding target equals blank. Okay. Now, a few other things about naming. So again, you'll notice we haven't put any spaces in file names. You really should never put spaces on file names because they require special handling in your URL. So just to demonstrate this, I'm going to create a file. It's not that you can't create a file with a file name with spaces in it. You can. So I am going to create a new file here in my folder, a new file, and I'm going to call it spaces are bad.html, right? So I put spaces in that file name, right? let's go look and see what that looks like in my project folder here. So it looks like I do have a file with spaces in it, right? All right, let's put a little content in there. And we're not really doing a full web page, but I'm just going to do this. Just this. I'm going to save. Now, if I go over here to my, and I want to bring up this so I can see them both. All right. If I click on this file here, spaces are bad, double click on it, then it gets opened up in the browser because it's an HTML file. And look at what you see here in the file name here. Do you see this %20, %20? Basically, every space gets replaced with %20 because URLs don't like spaces in the file names, right? So just know that you should not use spaces. You can either just put the names, put the words completely together. If I want to, I'm going to rename this, and I could put dashes, or I could just get rid of the spaces. You know, that works as well. So you can mash the words all together. All right. So that kind of wraps up what we're doing in terms of links. And in the next lesson, we will start to work with images. So again, just as a review, we have our main page here that is all about links. And we have a link to a file that is in the exact same place. Notice images.html is at the same level as links.html. We have a link to an external website, and we have a link to a page that is in another folder. So we have to put a folder name in front of that. And if I go to the file that is in a folder, if I want to link back to images or links, which is one level up, then we have to use this ... syntax in order to get up to the previous level. All right. And we also learned that if you want to open up your link in a new page, in a new tab, then it's target equals blank. Just to show you guys, you know, this is goofy syntax to remember. And maybe sometimes you think, okay, yeah, I remember it's blank, and you forget about the underscore. Okay, so let's just see what happens. So if I click on this page, let me make sure that we save and refresh. So I'm going to go over here and save, and let's make sure that we refresh. Let's change it to, or again, let's say I misspell it, right? I put two B's, BBLANK. So let's go over here to my page, right? So that works. But I'm going to go here, and it kind of worked. Again, sometimes things will sort of accidentally work, but you may not be sure that they will work in every browser, right? Suppose I leave out the B's. Yeah. Kind of happened to work, but it still is very important for you to know what the proper syntax is. And when in doubt, go look it up. So that's why this is a particularly important page that you might want to bookmark, because if there's ever something that you want to get some more details on here, for example, HTML elements, and I want to understand more about the anchor element, then here is your reference page that you can go through. And, looking at reference pages like this, sometimes looking at technical documentation is not the most fun thing in the beginning when you're first learning, but it's a critically important skill to get used to if you're going to be in tech. So make sure that you have a reference document like this, bookmark it, and use it when in doubt.